Your AI is literally suffocating right now. I'm not even joking. Let me show you something that's actually going to change how you use Claude Code and Cursor. If you've been using ChatGPT as well, any AI system will feel sometimes like it's getting dumber after just 10 minutes of coding. And what I have basically done is created this nice little visualizer to kind of show us how this stuff works. All you do is just run a simple query and you have like a 200K token context window. So this is your brain on AI. And whenever you send the query across, you can see how much tokens you've already used just by saying, I want you to code me this basic app or something like this. And then after it does that, you can kind of see the next thing, which is the agent thinking. So it produces about 8,000 tokens there to do its little thinking. And then it does some tool calling as well, and then comes back and actually does some more thinking to make sure it's the right thing, and then produces some code output. And so as it does code output, depending on whatever type of code you're doing, let's just say it outputs a bunch of tokens here. Then you say, oh, can you go ahead and do this type of thing here? It's like, yeah, go ahead, cool. And can you also grab like this other files and do these other things? So now that it's grabbing files from your code base, that starts to fill up. And so the agent does another like 8,000 token worth of thinking, does a couple of tool calls and stuff, and does some more code output. And then it starts to output the code or output the changes. So now that this token window starts to actually fill up pretty fast. And we're basically at 96,000 tokens out of 200. And you'll probably see like a little thing that says like, yeah, you're using 48%. You're like, okay, what if I just want to do another quick request? So then you start to grab some more stuff from your database. You start to like now connect all the front end and the back end. Your agent does some thinking. You say, I want it to think ultra hard. So then you basically pass in like the most amount of tokens like this. And you're just for 3 different, if you're thinking ultra hard, you're going to use like 32,000 tokens. So that's 8, 16, 24, and then one more like this. And then it does like some tool calls to grab some additional things. And then it's going to try to do the code output, and boom, just like that, with a couple of more requests, now you're basically hitting almost like 98% right at the very end. And as you can kind of see, like this type of workflow starts to add up super fast, and we've only done a couple of turns. And this is the point sometimes where maybe like Claude Code or Claude Sonnet, or maybe even like Cursor itself will start to kind of say, hey, we're going to roll the context window. You're like, dude, I just started the conversation. Why is the AI getting dumber? And it's like, maybe it's not that the AI is getting dumber, but I think it's more that the context windows are kind of limited here, and that a lot of these apps in the background are trying to do different things for you to try to maybe not take up so much space. And on top of that, there's this interesting study that I want to go ahead and show you. This was produced from ChromaDB. And in this study, they did all this. It's like a really lengthy report, and I definitely would recommend you check it out. So they did this comparison called the needle in a haystack extension. One of these things is like you can have these like large context windows from like Google or these other companies, millions of tokens. You're like, okay, if I throw everything in there, it should be okay. The thing that I learned about this, and what I really want to share with you that I don't hear many people talking about other than in these really deep reports, is that when you have a single question and you have a single thing for it to search at, that accuracy is extremely high. And so what that means for you and your code base is that like maybe if you have one specific narrow task and you have like this giant code base, maybe just giving it that one thing is going to make it much more accurate. And that actual thesis was proven through their research and this paper here. And so whenever you have basically like there's like this similarity bias, and as this type of thing kind of goes out, it starts to get a little more distracted when you start to give it more tasks. And this is kind of where we're going to approach this thing called sub-agents, and kind of why this is such a big movement in this realm. It's not only about the context window, but it's also about accuracy and achieving the nice things that you need to do in your code. So we can kind of unpack this. This is going to be a little bit more like theory type of things, but I kind of want to do this a little bit more with visuals because there's a lot to unpack here. And I feel like as a live stream, I can answer some of your questions back and forth, maybe some of the stuff you've been running into. And I'm hoping that this can sort of influence and change a little bit of your behavior for how you prompt the models, and then how you can get the most out of them, so that way you could just be really buzzing and kind of going. I feel like sometimes a lot of people, it's really easy to use an off-the-shelf framework or an off-the-shelf MCP that does all these tool calling. But what you'll actually end up discovering is that maybe some of this type of stuff is abstracting it a little too much for you. And maybe it's kind of going off the deep end, kind of like a big old machine gun, and just spraying and praying, as the old gamers used to say. So in this haystack question, obviously this is kind of like what they're saying is if there's a bunch of irrelevant context, this is the needle. And whenever you have something called a distractor, something that sounds similar, this is kind of where it starts to kind of get thrown off a little bit. So that's sometimes like maybe some of your queries, you're not really clear at the very beginning about what you want. And then if you kind of give two similar things, that's kind of where it starts to say, maybe he wants this one and maybe he also wants this. And that if you're as confused, the AI will also just be as confused for the task when you hand that off. So they say here, the best writing advice I got from my college classmate was to write every week. And then here it says I think the best writing tip I received from my college professor was to write every day. See, like this is the needle and this is the distractor. All in the same paragraph. When you ask, what's the advice I got from my college professor, it's going to see these two things. So it's going to be like, oh, I've seen that in the training set. I see these two things. And you're like, wait, which one should I give back as the answer? Because the college professor, they're asking about the college professor. And like, well, they said I should write every week, but also the best writing tip was that I should write every day. And so that's, that type of like what we call like hallucinations can happen. And this is kind of why it's a little bit more important. And this is kind of why I want to share this type of information, is because not only did they do the study, they actually went super ham and they're like, how many distractors can we have and what's the actual accuracy pool, right? Like they did this whole study and it's just blown my mind right now. So check this out. If you have basically what they call like 4 distractors, the input token length, when you start to kind of add it in, look how fast it degrades as far as accuracy. It goes crazy if you have 4 or more distractors. And so think about this in your own code base. Like think of them as distractors, right? Whenever you have code that's repeated on all these different components and you say, go and update this type of thing, you're like, and you just YOLO it, it's going to update it in like maybe your front end, but your back end also needs to figure out what's going on, right? There's a lot of other relevance. And if you have, for example, like a progress bar, and then you have some type of layout, you're supposed to kind of sort of have some hierarchy and some components you reuse, but it's like, oh, I'm going to make another progress bar over here in the admin panel because a user requested it. And it's like, well, I have a whole directory of components that I use from ShadCN. You should just initiate one of those and make it there. The AI will be really happy to fulfill your request and just starts to actually code up the button and everything that it wants to do in that separate area for the admin panel. So now you actually have like the user side and then you have the admin side that have literally a copy of each other's code. And this is what I call a distractor. And this is how crazy it is and how important it is. And like Chroma is actually showing, it's like one, the accuracy stays really high if you just have one specific thing you're trying to achieve, and you add 2 and then you add 4. And then think about like what people are saying for like AI. This is kind of why people make that term AI slop, is because as an engineer, you'll kind of start to see these patterns develop. You're like, well, the AI isn't really good because it just keeps rewriting code. And I feel like most of the time I'm doing as an engineer is like I'm writing more rules to guide the model right now. There is some good news out of this. Every single year, these models have been getting more and more intelligent. So you don't have to guide them as much with as many rules than I previously did maybe 2 years ago. So models are probably going to get smarter, and the tooling is going to get a lot better to support these types of things, so that like you don't have to worry about this too much. But as of right now, the tooling that we have that I use a lot is Claude Code, and subagents is one of those types of keys. So I want to show you what that looks like in my content visualizer, because I think that's going to be the key here for kicking off subagents and trying to basically narrow that scope so that you can have like very, very defined things that you do in your code base, like generating code, generating UI components, working with your backend, understanding how those types of things flow together. So when I hit reset and I go down, when I basically do like a code generation task, you can kind of see how many tokens you take up, right? Like 44%. But then now when you spawn a subagent down below, you'll actually see this type of thing start to take place. And so you say, I'm going to go ahead and add a request. Now that subagent starts to take on that request. And then if there's another concern that that request takes on, you just do add request as well. And you can kind of see how the subagents really start to unlock this whole type of thing. So you're basically getting this main request up here, and then you're handing off these individual components, right? So in this case, in my situation is like I started to make one specifically around like a design system. And then I'm going to now try to make a subagent for my Convex database, because the Convex database has a lot of different conventions. And I want to make sure that when I do make a feature request that it does pick these types of rules up so it can actually learn how to interact with my code base in smaller segments so that I can keep that context window really tightly focused. And that just ensures higher accuracy, because I'm even noticing that like some of the code generation, even though I have these rules files, it may not pick them up and it may not pick them up into those subagents. So I wanted to kind of share this as like a primer for y'all, because I feel like this type of visualization hasn't really been talked about too much, and it's still very confusing because I see lots of graphs and things. But the best thing is literally just this type of thing. You just do a tool call, agent does some thinking, you do some more input, and then like the code, comes out and so forth. So like this stuff adds up pretty fast, as you can kind of see just from a 200K token context window. And that's why it's important to start new chats. When you start a new chat and you want to do new code generation task, this is the type of thing you'll do. You do some type of input, thinking, the tool calls and so forth. And that type of stuff happens. Now with these thinking models, I'll show you real quick. They will basically do, like after the user input, they'll do some thinking. You may generate some code and the agent will come back to do some more thinking to understand what it just did. And that's sort of the power of Claude Code. And this is the power of like the new Sonnet models with the additional thinking and the tool calling. And this is also very transparent in Cursor as well. So let me just go ahead and catch up with the comments, because I know a lot of people have been trying to catch up here and wondering how everyone's doing here. So, all right, so let's see what's going on. I need to dial in my subagents more around their tool calling access. I've given them a set to inherit all AI tools, even though I only have 2 MCPs enabled. Eating tokens. Yeah, that's what's up, man. Ray, guess what? After some stress in work, I need to recharge seeing your fire cooking apps and producing some sharing contents every day. Hey, thank you so much, Alan, for becoming a member and also kind of catching up here. What if we were to tell the AI to reevaluate its solution? Does it still hallucinate? Yes, it can still hallucinate, especially if you have all of this conversation where it can be thrown off. So in this context, the like conversation is, remember that needle in the haystack stuff? So if you're continuing the same conversation, if you take some of that context and pass it on into a new chat, or if you're like just continuing on, you're going to keep adding these distractors. And these distractors in your chat, if you're telling it to fix itself, are still going to be in there. And so if you start to basically, for every single turn in the conversation, so that's every single like, hey, go fix itself. Okay, just change this one, not this one. So you've seen that like vibe coding meme. This is basically what's happening, is that you're creating more opportunities for the accuracy to continue to go down. So the further you get in your chat, the more it keeps actually going down in accuracy. And so at that point, you just got to create a new chat and pretty much just focus again and try to have it rebuild its context, because now you're going to basically just be like, at this point, you're just going to be like, you're doing some complex debugging task, right? You're doing this type of thing and you're just like, okay, user input, this, the agent does thinking, it does some tool calling, some more code output. You're like, no, try again, think harder. And it's like, okay, at this point, bro, like anything that you've done before, you've just introduced like massive rot. And that's basically where you're at. You're just like just crazy amounts of rot. But it's important to know that, like, why that maybe that's happening. And then like at every type of conversation, that what I call like a distractor is going to keep throwing the language model off until you basically start a new window. In Claude Code, you can hit escape twice. So hitting escape twice in Claude Code will basically let you go back to that conversation and truncate things out. But I would just sometimes recommend just starting a new window. Right now, Claude Code doesn't have anything visually to show you how much of the context window you're taking up, which I feel is super important. Cursor has recently just introduced that feature into their agent, and I don't think it's live for everyone yet, but you can kind of see down below it shows context usage for 83%. So that is super duper valuable, because once you start passing that mark, I'll show you really quick. In Chroma's paper here, there's like, this is a performance over 3 models with over 500K tokens. So like this is with 500K tokens. And once you start to pass that, like, the accuracy rate, once you start to go up in the percentage, right? Like 50%, I say like 50% is your golden zone, really. But when you have more distractors, that goes down really, really fast. So you're talking about like 30%, right? So if you have one dedicated thing that you're saying you're going to do, you're like, in this admin panel, I want you to do this specific thing on this component, on this, and just add a for loop or something. It's going to be really, really good, because it's just that one thing, right? Like that's just is what it is. But once you start to like continue the conversation, it hasn't been going well, fix itself and try to like reimagine and rethink everything that you possibly can so that you can be the best version of you AI, and then that's not going to help. Like that's actually not going to help it at all. So it's been really good to kind of back up some of the vibes that we've been feeling with actual research to better understand like what this whole vibe shift is really about, because I feel like that's kind of what's been happening now. So how's it going, Vlad? Thank you so much for joining in on the stream. I've started playing around with Gemini CLI, and not going to lie, I'm impressed how good it is at reinforcing or refactoring. Oh, I'll have to try that out again. I'm using Google Code Assist plan at $20-something a month. Yeah, I'm going to have to check that out again because I do want to kind of compare some of the notes as well. How does it compare to Claude CLI? Yeah, I'm just curious as well. I took the Cursor Ultra package, but in 20 days limit hit, I was not even using Opus. Wow. Lots of agentic coding probably. I'm just really curious on how that works. So are you able to select other models? Yeah, would love to know more about that workflow and kind of what's going on. Yeah, okay, that's interesting. Well, there's a lot kind of going on here. Have you considered developing any local Mac apps too, or are you mostly focused on developing on the web for mobile apps? So right now I'm thinking about doing a Mac app and a Swift app, but at the same time, like it's going to be more on demand because right now with my app, Ray Transcribes, for those who aren't familiar, this is basically my app right now. So my app is basically to just transcribe a lot of my videos, and I have a lot of videos and a lot of live streams and stuff, so they can be hours and hours long. I found a hack. It's basically you can get discovered literally just by like uploading your transcripts and putting them into YouTube, because when YouTube processes them, like the keywords that you say will get picked up when people search for them. So if I do Claude limits, I bet you my video shows up from like yesterday or something like that. Yep. See, there it is. So it's like the second video, right? And I could even do like a private mode or something. And then you'll see Claude limits like shows up like it's the second video. And so in this type of thing, like it's my video is only 21 hours ago, and like some of the top results. And because of like, you know, having those transcripts in there, it's super important. But I also have timestamps in there as well. So that's super nice because Google likes to like chunk out the timestamps to help with their AI overviews. You're helping their rankings. And so any type of reinforcement that you do, you basically start to get ranked higher. It's sort of a secret sauce. I need to write an actual blog post about it. But my transcriber app basically does this type of thing. And right now, this is like extremely efficient. You can have your own custom dictionary. So I have these different words that need to be in there so that, you know, Claude Code 03 are actually in the transcript specifically for these type of keyword things. And so, yeah, when it's processing the audio, it's doing its stuff here. So this is like a multi-hour stream. I think it's like a 3-hour live stream. So it does this stuff pretty fast. And you can see like all these transcripts that you're able to kind of do the things. So I've done hours and hours and hours of stuff. And this is basically my little app here. And I think if I do want to do this so that, like I'm almost done with my refactor, by the way. So like this started out as a bunch of slop. And this is kind of why I started to get around this context route, is because when I'm done with the refactor, I can now make the iOS app. And because I'm using a database by the name of Convex, for those who don't know, you may hear this a lot, but I'm a huge advocate of this company because they're just amazing. They have a really great database software. So one of the things that they have here is like fix the bug and set complete, say true. Okay. So it's a TypeScript database. So you're just basically playing around, and this is the actual dashboard for the database. So as you make changes here, it's basically happening like in real time on the back end. So as you add these different things, it's all happening. So like someone on their iPhone can be doing a transcript. Someone on the web can be doing that. Someone on an Android phone can be doing that. And so this is kind of why I wanted to make sure that everything was kind of settled on my back end side. And so when I build a Swift app, I could just hit this, database. I have Clerk for my authentication. Clerk has an SDK on the iOS side. Everything would just be a smooth experience, and it would just be super duper fast to hit my endpoint, send all that stuff up. And if they're on the web, because I know like a lot of people who do content creators, like they have stuff on the phone, right? They have a short they just recorded. They want to be able to do it from their iOS app, and then they just want to be on the web and just copy and paste that transcript and put it into YouTube or something like that, or whatever other workflow they do. And they can do it because of the way I'm setting everything up. So yeah, long story short, that's kind of the way I was going with this. Um, I have yet to try the latest versions of Swift that just came out in the WWDC stuff that came out this year. So I'll be spending some time probably in the next couple of months studying that, figuring out what's going on with all the latest APIs and animations, because they tend to settle the dust for that right before the fall. So yeah, that's kind of why I've been waiting a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about doing some iOS stuff, but I've been kind of trying to stay away from it for now. I don't want to get in trouble. What's your marketing strategy for Ray Transcribes? I think right now is just literally just trying to code with it and then tell people about it. I want to reach out to more content creators to try the app. And if you want to try the app right now, you can actually try it with the code Ray Cooks. So if you put in the code Ray Cooks, what that will enable you to do is when you go here to Ray Transcribes in my app, let me just put this up again as well. So if you start any of the plans today, go start today, that'll give you basically $15 off. So you can get into the beta for $5 basically for the first month, or just get into the starter plan for free for the first month. And you can start cooking. And I give a very generous amount of minutes. I mean, there's like 6,000 minutes for the beta and like 3,000, which is way more than enough than anyone has. And then, yes, obviously you have all the cool stuff that you have here and so forth. So yeah. Oh my gosh, check it out. Dennis just became a member. Thank you so much, Dennis, for becoming a member. If you want to become a member, you can secretly slide in through my Discord. I still have a member post up. And right now what's happening is basically people are able to slide into my Discord for $6.99 right now. It's kind of like a secret perk, but it's in my member post. If you go to my member post, there's some instructions there that you can send to get into the Discord. There's like now over like 100 plus people in my Discord because I finally reached my first 100 members. And so my promise then was to double the price so that, you know, we have this exclusivity for folks who are early. So if you're watching this right now, it's still early. So this is your time to sign up. Once the price doubles, I'm going to use I'm basically going to use polar.sh. And so Polar has a nice Discord integration that you can basically hook up. And it's super easy to code. And a lot of the community stuff will be built using kind of like Polar and these types of things. And I'll be showing you this stuff along the way, which would be really, really cool. So yeah, that's kind of where that's at. Ray Transcribe is built with Next.js, or do you use another? No, Next.js. So I built my app, Ray Transcribes, with Next.js. And yeah, it's basically using a route handler. I use the API from there. And I have some client-side work that I do. So I do some processing on the client side. And I'm transitioning that to Vercel so that everything's going to be handled through Convex. So a lot of that pre-processing stuff will be kind of minimal now on the client side, and it's going to move a lot of it to the back-end side. So a lot more updates on that. But yeah, Next.js as far as the thing, ShadCN for some of the frameworks. I think I have, let's see, Tailwind CSS v4, so that I have this cool tokenizing system. I'm using Clerk for authentication. The back-end database is Convex. By the way, when I launched the app, I had no database. It was literally a V0 like slap on, like, hey, I want to get some paid users. I sent a Stripe links. People signed up with the Stripe links. I went into Clerk and I just added their email as part of their getting started. I was doing it all by hand. And then it wasn't until I was on vacation in Croatia and I lost 3 users who paid. 3 users paid for my app and I couldn't get to them like in like a couple of hours because I was like remote, right? In a different time zone. And I was like, man, I didn't want to set up the Stripe database, all that stuff, you know. I was like, but I'm glad I did it actually, because now it's much more scalable and I can actually do more things, which I plan to do anyways, but it's starting to actually sort of get traction, which is cool. And so, yeah, I'm going to reach out to more content creators and people who are like, if you do podcasts, this is perfect. You know, you get a lot of great minutes for the cost, and, you know, kind of want to pass that on as well. So hi from France. You make Discover Convex. Thank you. I use it in an upcoming personal project. Yeah. And I think you get like, I don't know, like 20 free projects, something ridiculously cool for free. So it's great. I've been using your transcribe platform, Ray, loving it. How is the architecture behind it? Using Grok for faster whisper? Yes. Grok is one piece of the story. So part of the reason why I was using Grok is because it's just super duper fast. 2 is like I was actually setting up this cool thing and I prototyped it, and that's kind of how Ray Transcribes got started. It's like I wanted it to be even faster than any other transcriber that's out there. And I kind of broke the record because I set up a WebSocket and I would literally stream everything as it was being processed and being sent up in chunks, right? To like be be processed. And so like I had this cool like workflow that I don't think anyone really optimized, but as a nerd, I was like, this is gonna be fun to do. So yeah, it's a pretty nice, simple type of thing that you can set up. And that's one piece of it. But then I'm moving into like more features now. So I realized that speed isn't really the big thing. It's more about just kind of workflows. So I can do more features if I'm able to, like, maybe like fast isn't really the big deal. It's more of just about like getting that transcript and then doing other cool things with it, like adding timestamps, maybe having some stuff where it writes like you, and collecting these types of things to help you with your content creation workflows. So yeah, more on that in a little bit as well. I was trying to set up a personal project with Grok, but did not work streaming to Grok. Oh, you may want to check out. So you may want to check out the AI SDK from Vercel. That's one of them. The other thing too, I think, is with Grok, there's a limit. You have a 25 megabyte limit to stream a file up. So you'll have to do some chunking with a file. That took me a long time to figure out. And then once I figured it out, then I kind of understood what to do from there. But basically, you have to keep track of those files that you chunk up. And then when they come back down for the results, then you'll be able to actually like put them together as one type of thing. It sounds more complicated, but it took a long time to figure out, I guess. I don't know. Whenever I try to start a web project, all these tools generate and suggest Supabase, Lovable, V0. Is there any tool that use Convex to let you connect the way they integrate it with Supabase? I think the best tool right now is called Chef from Convex. So chef.convex.dev. I'm going to put this into the chat here, and I'm going to show you real quick. So if I do chef.convex.dev, I'll show you. And so this is basically their Vibe Code version. I think they forked it from Bolt, and you can sign in with your thing, and you can make a Slack clone, Instagram clone, Notion clone, everything that you would normally do, and it hooks it up right into your database. They have their own auth stack. So like Convex has their own Convex auth. You can later hook that up to Clerk, which I love. And it allows you to do way more, in my opinion. So yeah, if I sign in, I should be able to sign in. Cool. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the Chef. And I might do some videos on Chef because I do like this. But I code so much in Cursor and Claude Code that I just take the rules files, and I just find I have more, I could do more with it and so forth like that. There's also a template that you can use to get started. So GitHub, I forked one, and I want to show you this, and I'll put this in the chat so that you guys can have it too. So one of them, it's called, what is it called? I based it off this. It is this one. So this is from this guy. This guy is elite. He basically made the elite starter kit. And so go ahead and click this one. And so this one actually has everything set up. And this is what we based off I have a 4-hour live stream for members only. And we started with this actual repo. So we started this repo. I walk you through getting this stuff set up with Clerk, getting the secret keys from Clerk and put in, getting the Convex keys, configuring those two, configuring a webhook. But afterwards, what we actually got out of it was, the Stripe stuff. So you can actually sign up with Stripe, and it's actually built right in. It syncs to the database. And then it has a dashboard, which you can actually use to, this logs in and all that stuff that you can use to kind of just add your features and various things. So yeah, this is a great starter kit. This is pretty much my stack as well. And when I saw this, I was like, bro, this is exactly my stack. I want to keep building stuff off of this. And so I basically forked this, and I'm going to update my own and add my own rules and everything like that I normally would use. And then I'm going to try to see if I can make my own fork have like my actual Claude Code sub-agents. Like the design enforcer, I want to have it so that it has like this Convex rules type of thing. So my sub-agents will be more accurate, because the goal here is really for me to just start a repo, not have to create these rules files all the times. And I have this nice groundwork to start from, and just start to just say, okay, I want to add this feature, or I want to do this. Okay, I want to connect to the new images API and just add something so that it generates images, like, what I was doing for my thumbnail. So like, I want to do stuff like that. And I need to have a good base set. And so this would have it all hooked up, and I just go. So that's the end goal. It's going to start with my members first content, and then eventually I'll roll that out to the general public. My members are kind of helping me shape the feedback, which is really great. And so right now you can join in as a member, which is super awesome. And it's pretty busy right now in the Discord. It's really nice. I have these different channels and everyone's participating. So I definitely appreciate that. I spent my night watching, that video yesterday. It's like a 4.5 hour video, but it actually could have been like a couple of hours. But the last half of the video is literally taking that 380 page PRD that we generated. There was some good prompting that happened in there. And I'll give you the long story short. But basically, the director's cut is like, in the prompt, I said, make sure to include the UI, UX trees for all of the different components that we're going to make. So when you're making this PRD file, we'll be able to understand that. So then I gave it my sort of prompt of like what I was doing. And then I gave it this prompt to generate a PRD, and that generated the 300 something line PRD file. We gave that to Claude Code, and Claude Opus for 33 minutes in that live stream generated the code. So that was the last half of that stream. So the last half of that stream is literally just us waiting for that whole thing to generate, because we weren't really sure. I thought it was going to generate everything in 1 minute. It generated the full blown app, like from everything, So you took that template. On that template, it built everything on top of that, all these different trees and everything. It spawned off 4 sub-agents, and each of those sub-agents went in this procedural order from working on the UI, working on the back end. It referenced all these rules. So that was a really deep stream. I'm pretty sure there's there's so much in there. And I feel like that's a perfect members only stream. I did go live to the public, and then it just went to members only afterwards. So I want to do more of those, at least once a week or once a month for members. And, that was actually by request from several members who wanted to just figure out something to get started. So that was our massive thing. Don't stop believing. Became a member. Thank you so much, man, for becoming a member. I really appreciate that. Yo, you guys are the real MVP. I really need to have a watch of the 4-hour videos this weekend. Yeah, I just hired an editor because my goal is actually get my first 100 members. And so that I achieved that goal, which is really awesome. And so you may see Dan in the chat. So Dan is going to be cutting up some of the videos, and I got to speak with them to figure out like what parts we want to how we can trim that video down to make it like really great. My goal might be I might just re-record the whole thing myself just offline. And that way we get that video. So I think today is July 29th, and I've been streaming every single day from the beginning of July 1st. And the growth has been incredible. I've grown almost 40% of my channel. So I started off like with around 10,000 subs. Now we're like at, almost 14,000 subscribers here on YouTube, which is a huge milestone. Like, this is amazing. Thanks to people like you guys who have been joining in, but also thanks to everyone kind of showing up every day, making this chat really fun and participating and helping like ask questions to drive some of the discussions, which has been great. The second part of it is like I wanted to have my first 100 paying members, and we've totally blown past that. I think we're almost at 135 or 140 paying members. So you get access to the Discord, and that has actually helped, basically paying for Dan to do some of the video editing, because I want to save some of your time as well. So the members will get to see those videos edited first, and then they'll be released to the public later on. So yeah, there's some really good meaty topics in there. There's a lot of stuff I want to cover, but today's video was my sort of like a dry run of my recording that I'm going to do for a context rot video. And so you got to see a little bit of that. So like you got to see a little bit of like, so for those who don't know, I mean, this is how serious I take my craft, is that I started this video off with wanting to do a context window visualizer. So I went into V0 because I originally did this in like eraser.io or one of these platforms where you literally draw. And I felt like it didn't really do it justice. So I just went into V0 and just created the app. And it's just much easier to have like a real-time app that you can actually do and just deploy it to production. And so that way, like you're able to play around with this, and then I could share the link as well. So I'm actually going to turn this Vercel app into like a real like website that you can actually go interact with and start playing with, and actually use it to maybe teach other people about context windows. So hopefully, I think the best form of learning is teaching other people. So if you can take what I just explained to you and explain it to someone else, then you've really mastered it. It's part of the reason why I like to just turn on the camera to try to explain these things, because then it helps me solidify these thoughts. And that's just so awesome. So yeah, appreciate y'all for chilling on the growth here. So I really need to watch. Okay, yeah. If you design in Claude Code, it will build it. Yeah, for sure. All the Claude Code vids are popular. Yeah, I think a lot of people are trying to figure out kind of how to use it, how to best utilize it. And right now, for me, I'm taking the less is more approach. You can see why this is really valuable for the less is more approach, because any type of tool that you add, it's going to like a tool call will like start to eat up the window, and then you add some thinking tokens, and then you add some more code output, and you add more agent thinking, and you add, look at that. Like we're just filling this thing up fast, and it's, and let's just say it spawns off all these subagents. Do you want to be that guy who's the 5% who's actually like eating up all of the windows and everything like that? And you're going to get that bill from OpenAI or so you could ChatGPT or someone like, or even Claude Code and be like, yo, give it up, pay up, or we're not going to give you any more tokens. And we're like, yo, man, chill. It's not like that in here. You know what I mean? But if you are one of those people, we are here for you. This is the AI Anonymous group, and we are here to support other people like you. We think that you're misunderstood just the way we are misunderstood. Yeah, I might have a little bit of addiction to AI products, but I think that's natural, right? This is the new age that we're in. So if you're in here, smash that thumbs up. Definitely drop the comments because it's super helpful for everyone in here to support each other. And I really, I'm just in love with the community that's kind of showing up right now. And this is I like this vibe. This is such a good vibe because we're all trying to learn and share best practices. And I think this is a really great way to kind of start, on that track, if you know what I mean. So yeah, it's been like crazy exponential growth. Yeah, I mean, you got something good going. I'm fixing to join. Yeah, for sure, man. Y'all see that AI updates itself paper, AlphaGo? I've seen something like this where it rewrites its own weights. And I'm really curious to read that paper. I wish you grow this channel fast and get some funds to spin off more contents. That's the goal right now. I think it's to kind of focus in a little bit and start to produce some content. And so far, everyone's been doing a great job kind of participating and joining in. So I really appreciate that. New member here. Where's the Discord link? Ben, there's a post in the YouTube channel. So if you just go to my channel, there's like an actual members only section. And then in there's like some instructions to send over. I just realized that some of them actually went to spam. So I'm going to just go ahead and double check my spam folder. So I've just reached out to the recent people who reached out to me and that were in that spam folder. So please forgive me for that as well if you're kind of going through there. Can you go more in depth on how to make Grok streaming work? I think many people are looking for this info. Nobody's talking about Grok, even though it's the most insane tech for AI. Yes. Okay, cool. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm going to reach out to them because I'm very close to the Grok team because they're literally in Mountain View, like down the street from my house. Like I'm in Los Altos and they're very nearby. I'm going to see if they can hook it up or do something where I can have a session with one of their engineers and we can kind of talk a little bit more. Last time the Kimi model got released on Grok, like they hit me up. They're like, yo, this thing is ready. Can we get an engineer on your stream? I was like, hell yeah, let's go. And so I want to do more about that because I feel like, okay. If I get some time at the end of the stream, my people who are here to clean my room are going to kick me out in like a couple of minutes. Let me just go through the rest of the comments and let me just show you how I get started real quick. Because you could just literally throw the documentation into like V0 and like have it do a quick prototype for you. And you'll be like halfway there. And that's how I vibe coded my app. Yeah, that's what's up, man. Yo, Chords Maze. Oh my God, with the super chat, bro. Yesterday, here's some updates. Okay, for those who don't know, Chords Maze yesterday dropped in the chat. I call Chords Maze Mr. 3 Comma Club. If you don't know about the 3 commas, that means you're a billionaire. And this guy's a billionaire, but from a tokens perspective. This guy literally yesterday dropped 5,703,144,183 total tokens used in Claude Code, my friends. That's 10K, 10 bands. The boy cooks. And I also want to say, as a disclaimer, he's not proxying tokens. He's not running this stuff overnight. He's not doing all the crazy stuff that Anthropic says. He's literally locked in 1000%. And like, he's just up, no touching grass, just constantly on this thing. I don't know what type of app you're shipping, but I told you yesterday, make sure you link that below because you're on it and you have such a small window. You have less than 30 days right now. The clock is counting down, Chords Maze. This is why I started the AI Anonymous group yesterday, because I feel like you're misunderstood. Anthropic is misunderstanding us. They think we're using AI to do all this stuff. It's like, no, we're just locked in, bro. We're locked in like this. Let's go. Need an app and engineer to talk about M5 chips. Hey, they're not going to talk. PDF on the right. Clean your room. Nice flex, Ray. Love the content, bro. I'm just living my life. I don't know if you live in the Bay Area, housing and everything is expensive, but like engineers are paid very well, right? Like I worked at Apple for like 12 and a half years and I also invested a lot. And did pretty well like at Apple. But at the same time, like now I'm kind of like, like they let me go, which was insane. I was dealing with long COVID and all that crazy stuff. And they were just like, bye. I'm like, bro, I saved you like $500 million. Like, how are you going to do that to me? They're like, just let us know when you get better. We'll be happy to hire you back. I'm like, all right, I see you. And then I see this AI wave. And it's like literally that meme. It's like, I'm checking out with my chick and it's like, wait, there's this AI wave. So like, I'm like now looking this way. I'm like, let's go. So that's why I'm here. I started this channel and like y'all are showing up and like, this is such an amazing moment. Okay, I love Grok. Kimi K2 is on fire. Yeah. Ruben just became a member. Thank you so much. Y'all are the real MVPs right now in July. Congrats on your success. I'm going to follow for that 4-hour stream after this. Yeah, check out that 4-hour stream. There's so much sauce in there. Also, check out that members only post to get into the Discord, ask some questions. I have some sections in there. A lot of people are starting to hop in right now and participate. I thought my CC usage of 1700 was an API estimation last month was impressive. No, bro. My guy is locked in back there. I think Chords Maze just became a member. Yo, Chords Maze. Bro, I'm so excited to see you in the Discord right now. Like, you got to pop in and drop that comment and just say, yo, Mr. And I'm going to make a tag just for you in my Discord saying like, you're Mr. 3 Comma Club. So like 3 commas is going to be like an actual Discord tag for anyone who's ever broke the billion token barrier, which is just like this dude. But then he didn't do 1 billion. He did 2 billion. He did 3. Bro, like my guy is locked in, has no chill, bro. No chill. 5 billions, bro. 5 billions. How do I get into the Discord? There's a post that I have. Just go to my YouTube channel. You'll see members only. That's where you'll see the members only content as well on the YouTube channel. There's a members only post, and then there's just an email that you send with your information. YouTube doesn't provide like emails or anything like that. They just show me your name and then I think your channel. And so if you just provide that in the email, that I will be able to link you up and stuff. Like that. Orange hands cover eyes. No. Yeah. App AI is doing something to us for sure. Day by day, Ray's vibes getting darker. I used to go over 38 million tokens alone last night. Only 100%. Also, I think there was somebody else asking, I think if you remember, I might just do like a Discord stream where we're just kind of hanging in Discord and I'll show you how I prototype, because I got to roll out in a sec with V0 and stuff like that. Hacking Claude code to get that Opus LLM download for sure, man. Yo, man, let me just kind of catch up with the other chats as well. Just make sure I didn't miss anything. And a lot of people kind of popping in as well and making sure we're good, because we cover quite a bit today. And I just wanted to give you that quick AI context visualizer type of thing. And I think the app is technically deployed live right now. It's going to go through some changes, but you can kind of play around with it right now if you're just cooking. So yeah, it may get taken down when I like redeploy the project. So just FYI, but this is a great way to kind of visualize and teach your friends. I feel like if you can teach this to other engineering friends, just like the way I'm teaching you, it's going to help you go a long way in terms of visualizing these things. So like the biggest takeaway I'd say is with your context, try to think about like, if you don't know and it's not really clear what you're trying to solve, I'm coining this thing called like a discovery prompt, right? Like literally just say, I don't know where to go with this. Can you help me? Like I need to break this down so I don't eat up the token context window. Just tell it what your problem is, right? Like literally it's like the confession booth. I think AI is our confession booth. So you sit down, you tell it, and it's going to be like, okay, let me like use my AI smart brain to kind of break this apart into different pieces. Once it comes back to you with that, then start the new chat window, start the new Claude code window, start the new cursor window. Take one of those concerns and just pop it in and just cook. Just let it cook. Say, in your first request, before you pop it into these new windows, you should also tell it the tooling you have available. So say you have access to subagents which can take some of these requests or these concerns, like researching, like access to the web, like searching through code bases. They can do these tasks in parallel. So the more you describe what that scenario looks like, and then you can just transcribe over, what your problem is or what feature you want to ship, the better results you're going to get. So Opus will then take that whole thing and then write basically what it's going to write to the subagents for you, basically. And so that is kind of what you'll take, and you can just save that to a markdown file so that you can either hand that off to Claude Code. You can see how this is kind of keeps compounding, but this is going to, in like a year from now, this is not going to be like that. In a year from now, you'll just say whatever you want. It's going to figure all that stuff out for you. But this is where we're at right now. We have to do these little things piecemeal because the tooling is currently just not there. And everyone's just learning as we go. Like these studies that were done by Chroma was recently just published, right? So everyone had a feeling that this was the vibe around AI, but they couldn't really pinpoint why. And so now that we have good data, the best practices, the engineering efforts, everything, every single company is going to add tooling around this. It only gets better for us. So that's what's up. Let's see. I'm just kind of catching up some more here. So I'm struggling with Claude Code in the Windows terminal. Can't paste screenshots. Does anyone know how to do it? I'm on the Mac. I can do it. Are you using it in Cursor? Because when I use Cursor, as soon as I drag it, I hold Shift. But another person said you can copy and then paste it in. And it basically, as long as you have the directory, it'll go to that directory and scan it. And it'll even ask saying, hey, I'm checking out your desktop. Is that okay? So it will put it in single quotes. It'll say like this, and then it should be okay. I think when you drag it in the terminal, it may even put those quotes in there for you. And so play around with that. But as long as you put the whatever the directory path for your screenshot in quotes, it should be able to know what that means and do something about it. Claude Code needs an interface to uncheck context you don't need. That'd be cool. But at that point, like, I think the whole goal of it is to be more hands-off, which is kind of why they exposed subagents to us so that they can try to intelligently pull that out from whatever we're saying. But I'd be interesting. You got to paste it into Claude Code by dragging from the file from the directory view. Yeah. Really hope Claude ends up in the IDE. Yeah. That'd be so fire. How many years you code? Let's see. I mean, I've been in the industry, like shipping software, probably a decade plus. And as far as like coding, a lot of that was more early on. So I think initially I started with, what was it? C? Yeah, I did C code, and then C++, and then got into some Swifty things, Python, did a lot of shell scripting. And then I got into like Ruby on Rails. I got into PHP because I needed like tooling and like dashboards for internal tools. And then like less of that was like, I started getting more responsibility around like shipping software and then like quality and stuff. So then they became less coding, more like understanding like the business of apps and quality and output and like how that affects users. So that was kind of where I started to spend more time in that arena. And then like later on was like, because I knew so much of the stack all over the company, it was just like fighting fires. I would be like the person that would go to figure out what the heck happened. So like debugging was like my biggest skill. It was like, okay, I know what's going on at this part of the stack, pulling all the people in the room to figure this stuff out as well. So like, so it's just like a wide range of experiences. There's some really nice terminal windows that are better than the standard Windows terminal, but I'm old school. I just like the standard ZSH shell. Maybe throw some PowerShell or something on there, but I'm good at that. How do I check my token usage in Claude? You just run bunx cc usage if you have the bun, or npx. So cc usage is the command, and then bunx cc usage is the one I do as well. And that will do that. Or you can just do npx instead of bunx if you're a thing. So I got to head on out, and I will see you on tomorrow's stream. Thank you very much. Peace out.